device. So we're top belaying on our multi-pitch anchor, and we're wanting to learn how to release the guide mode belay device when it locks up, so someone's taken a fall on it. So belaying up, just like normal, someone takes a fall, and we've got three options we're going to look into today. First option is if they just want to go down a little bit so that they can reach a foothold after a fall that gets them back on the wall. So what we're going to do is we're going to control the tail by having our hand on it, pressure down, and we're going to take this beaner at the back and we are ratcheting it in order to get the rope to travel through. So the climb is going down inch by inch, literally. Some things to note about this: when you are choosing your beaner for the back, having a nice kind of square edge beaner is good. And when you ratchet a lot, you create little sharp burrs in the back of your ATC belay device. So it's for short periods of time, short distances. The second option is we need to get them down a lot further, but they can unweight the rope. So it might be that they just want to go back to the start of the pitch, something's happened, but they can unweight by standing up on a small ledge. This one's going to require us to overcome the assisted braking method in here. So we need to have some backups in place. So the first backup I'm going to use is a catastrophe knot, which is an overhand on a bite with a sharker's tail. That means I can go hands free. If this whole device opened, we would still be locked off. Now I'm going to put in a prusik onto that brake strand. This prusik can be a French, or it can be Klemmheister or Classic. Doesn't matter too much as long as it slides and it locks. So we've got that. Now I'm going to set myself up for this Load Strand Direct method, which is what we're calling it. Load Strand Direct alludes to this load strand being connected up onto the anchor by the way of a beaner. In a moment we're going to get the climber to unweight the rope, but we're just going to check our new system. We've got a catastrophe knot still in, our prusik is locked, we know it slides and locks. Now they're going to stand up. That rope is going to go up into the beaner, going straight onto the anchor. What it's done is it has split the friction between these two bits of rope, so it's not jammed anymore. So when I release this prusik, the rope is just going to slide freely through there, no friction. At this stage I've got my hands controlling the rope. If they weren't, the prusik is backing me up because essentially it's going to run free. Cool. So that's method number 2. Getting back to the ground, they're going to have another attempt. So I'll take this off. Climbing up again. So this is the third and the most difficult option, and it just builds on the skill sets that you've just learned. So they're climbing up, they take a fall, and now they're in free air, they're hanging in free space. And so they can't unweight the rope for you. That's fine. We're going to find a way to hold their weight while we put the Load Strand Direct, the LSD, in place. How that's going to look: same first step. We're taking our hands off the rope. Let's put a catastrophe knot in. We're going to end up in Load Strand Direct, so let's put our prusik on. Does it slide? Does it lock? Yes, that being is done up. Cool. Now we're just going to get one extra bit of gear, which is a 240 sling. Lots of different ways you can do this, but what we're building is a technical ledge. It's a way of holding their weight while we put them in the Load Strand Direct. We can do a few, similar idea. We could do a classic or a clem heist here. I'm going to do a classic. And this may be the first time you've used a Dyneema sling as a prusik. Same sort of idea, except you'd never want to use this as a sliding prusik. You're just using it as a rope grab. Now I'm going to grab another bina, clip it into anchor, and I'm wanting to create a releasable system here. So I'm going to take this and tie an Italian here, set it up on the load side, and then I'm going to tie it off, just using the normal strategy of a half hitch and then an overhand. When I do this, I'm always just wanting to be aware of where the stitching is. So in this case, it's well out of the way, or I could have it nice up and close to there. I just don't want to have it in the knot. So this is my new kind of locked off system. Does it slide? Yes. Does it block? Cool. Put that all the way down there. And now I want to transfer the load onto there. So I'm going to get a little bit of slack behind the system. I'm going to do my ratchet crank. Same as what we did first time. Now, the system is loose here. I'm going to take my large P-bina, clip it in, same as for Load Strand Direct. Do that up, and then I'm going to tension back in there. Going to pull my prusik up, so there's weight back on my new system. Separate those two. Check the new system. It's all locked, and now I'm going to undo this. So this moment here, it's just lowering the weight back onto the Load Strand Direct. The prusik is going to hold that weight, and what it wants to do is it wants to slide through the Italian in that moment, and now we're going to let it. So that's good. It's holding the weight on the new system. Let's get rid of this. Stash that quickly on my shoulders. Now we're just back to a normal Load Strand Direct. When we get to our catastrophe knot, take that out, lower them as far as we need to go. A couple of things of note with this one. First of all is if they're not going to make contact back with the cliff within 60 meters, so you're on a big overhang, then this is not the right method. You need to be able to lower them back to the cliff or a place where they can swing back in. If not, then you'd have to do a hoist, and we'll talk about that in another video. And the other thing is just getting your size of binas correct for a Load Strand Direct. So when I do set up in guide mode, I've always got a small D bina holding the guide mode, and then I try to use a large P bina for my Load Strand Direct bina. Other than that, good to go.